Hey guys, sorry I'm getting here a little bit late this Thursday. I I kind of feel like I've been hit by a truck, to be honest with you. I've been having one of those 24-hour periods where I'm just really out of it. But I was not going to let you guys down with this live that I told a few folks that I would be making today because this is a hot topic. It's the topic of negative emotions and negative feelings. Let me move my computer a little bit. Let's see, I got an curling iron burn on my forehead, if you're wondering. So this comes up a lot, and I just did a blog post about this. You can find it on my website, leahpinelli.com. And I talk about it with every single client that I have. And if you're one of my clients and I haven't talked about it with you yet, trust me, I will at some point. So negative emotions. So often when in the line of work that I do, if we haven't met before, my name is Leah Pinelli, and I am a life coach that specializes in weight loss, in particular in helping women get to their natural weight by ditching the diet drama and living at their natural weight almost effortlessly, and definitely without all the mind drama. So one of the things that comes up a lot with me and my clients, or with my clients, is what to do with negative feelings and negative emotions. Because when we have a negative feeling and when we have negative emotions, usually for my clients who are typically emotional overeaters, usually for us, we will eat our feelings, right? So when we're having a negative emotion, when we're uncomfortable, when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're angry, when we're irritated, when we're overwhelmed, all the negative emotions that you can think of, and there are lots. When we're afraid, we tend to go to food to try to get rid of that emotion. And we've been doing it, for most of us, we've been doing it for so long that we don't even really recognize that we're doing it. And a lot of emotional overeaters will actually go to food even for positive emotion, like we're excited, we're celebrating, it's Friday, like whatever it is, right? But today we're really focusing on negative emotion. And so what happens is in the line of work that I do, I teach women how to stop using food as a way of buffering negative emotion, as a way of kind of numbing out, so to speak. And so eventually, women they'll get that concept pretty quickly. And then eventually they'll get to a place where they're like, well then shit, Leah, like I've got a negative emotion. Like I'm really feeling like crap and I really want to eat. But now I know that I can't eat because eating isn't actually going to solve the problem. Like, what do I do with the negative emotion that I'm feeling? And what I will explain to them is a concept that I learned from master coach instructor Brooke Castillo called 50-50. And 50-50 is literally a life-changing concept. It was life-changing for me, and it has been life-changing for a lot of my clients. 50-50 is the concept that in life, we experience the spectrum of emotion. Let me put my tea down. We experience the spectrum of emotion. So if you imagine the spectrum of emotion is like, from and it's actually not a binary, but the emotion including all of the emotions that are possible, from like extreme happiness, ecstasy, elation, adoration, all the way to misery or sadness or boredom or anxiety, all of the feelings that are possible in the world, if you can kind of lump them into two buckets of positive and negative. And in our life experiences, we tend to experience positive emotion about 50% of the time and negative emotion about 50% of the time, generally speaking. So if that's the case, if that's just kind of like what's normal and expected, is that we experience naturally 50% positive and 50% negative emotion, then if you think about it, when you're actually experiencing a negative emotion, you're just experiencing a natural, normal phenomenon. Like nothing has gone wrong, right? So what we do though, especially as a culture, if you're in the United States, that's what I'm referring to, culturally, we think that we should always be happy, or we should at least always be striving to be happy, that this constant state of happiness is like our natural state, and therefore if we're not constantly happy, then something must be wrong, right? We must have done something wrong. And so what we try to do then is we try to fix the negative emotion because we think that we're supposed to be happy all the time. So if I'm feeling tired or angry or bored or frustrated, I feel like I have a problem I need to fix now because I shouldn't feel negative emotion. I should only feel positive emotion. So therefore, I'm going to go try to do something to fix the negative emotion. So let me give you an example. If I'm driving home from a long day at work and I'm physically exhausted and I'm really just tired, but I have to go home and I have a lot to do at home because I have a child and a family and all these things, and I got to, get dinner on and get, people bathed and do all the things, and I'm frustrated and tired, my brain is telling me something has gone wrong. This isn't right. We shouldn't be tired. We shouldn't be feeling this way. We've got to fix this problem, right? And there isn't really a fix to the problem except for maybe going to bed. But even so, going to bed at 5 p.m. doesn't actually solve the problem because then you'll probably just wake up at 7 and then your body thinks you took a nap and then you're going to get a full sleep cycle off and blah, 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 blah. So there isn't necessarily a fix to the problem. So what happens, especially for emotional overeaters, but this happens with everybody, is we try to fix the problem of being tired. Maybe we'll drink a cup of coffee, which at 5 p.m. maybe isn't a great idea because it might keep you up. Or your body doesn't want that much coffee. It doesn't want multiple cups of coffee a day or whatever it is. Maybe we won't drink a cup of coffee, but instead we'll go home, we'll pour a big glass of wine because that's going to relax us and make us feel better about being tired. Or maybe we're going to go home and we're going to unleash our stress about being tired by yelling at our kids or yelling at our spouse. And so these are all ways of what is called buffering or numbing out, right? It's a way of trying to replace that negative emotion of tiredness with another feeling. You're grasping for another feeling that you think is going to give you, at least in the moment, this positive result, like a glass of wine or eating a wheel of cheese or a brie or something, right? Or even lashing out maybe feels gratifying in the moment when you're yelling at somebody. But the net effect of that's the actual part that we care about. Because what happens then is you were tired, so you came home, you poured a big glass of wine that you didn't want, which just made you even more tired, but in the moment it sounded like a good idea. You lashed out at your partner, so now you guys are in the middle of a fight. Your kids are upset because you yelled at mommy or daddy or whatever it is, right? So what ends up happening is the net effect, by the time you're going to bed that night, you've kind of created a shitstorm for yourself, all in this effort to feel better about being tired. So when I teach the concept of 50-50 to my client, it will start to click. It's like understanding for the first time, oh, I see that like feeling tired is just a part of the game, right? I don't have to fix being tired. The alternative is I could just go home and be tired, right? Like, what if you just went home and decided to just let yourself be tired? So you walked in the door and you felt tired, and you cooked dinner and you felt tired, and you put dinner on the table and you kissed your kid on the forehead, and you rubbed your spouse's back, and you sat down and you ate and you cleaned up and you went to bed, and you just felt tired the whole freaking time. The net effect of that is you'd probably go to bed a little bit earlier, and you would just kind of feel crappy because you felt tired all evening when you really wanted to feel energetic with your family. But that's it. You just felt tired. And it didn't feel great. But you're supposed to not feel great about 50% of the time, right? Emotionally speaking. As opposed to creating, like magnifying or multiplying the problem with introducing alcohol or introducing foods that you don't want, or yelling at somebody, or just doing something that you didn't really want to do, because in the long run that is working against your goals as opposed to working towards them. So that's the concept of 50-50. And I'm going to tell you that it's hard, right? It is not easy to just feel the tiredness. It is not easy to just feel the frustration that you're having with your colleague and not go talk shit about them at the water cooler, right? It's not easy to do this. We naturally want to buffer. As human beings, we naturally want to push away and resist the negative feelings and only include the positive feelings. But that's not actually the way that it works in the world. And so when you can accept that you're going to feel negative feelings about 50% of the time and just allow those feelings to be there, acknowledge the feelings, let the feelings know that they deserve to be there, they can be there. I'll tell you a little secret. what ends up happening is the feelings go away. They eventually pass. Just like happiness eventually passes, so does sadness, fear, frustration. It'll eventually pass. And the cool part is if you just let the feeling be there without buffering against it, then you haven't screwed up a bunch of other things like, because you were binge eating and now your clothes don't fit, or you were screaming at your family members and now you guys all have to go to family counseling or something, right? To sort out, all of mommy's crazy. So that's the concept of 50-50. I have lots of tips and tricks for how you can learn to really start to allow your feelings or feel your feelings. It is some of the hardest work for a lot of my clients, myself included. It's some of the hardest work, but it is definitely the most rewarding work that you can possibly do, because once you realize that everything's 50-50, negative emotion is 50-50, then what that means is that the worst that can happen is that you feel a negative feeling. And as Master Coach Instructor Brooke Castillo also says, nobody ever died from feeling a feeling. It's just a feeling. It can't kill you. So you can just allow yourself to feel it. It's going to be hard, but you can do hard things. Allow yourself to feel it, let it pass through, and move on. And the less you resist it, the more quickly it will usually pass through. So let me know what you think about this concept of 50-50. You can leave a comment or shoot me a direct message. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And I would love to hear how you manage your negative emotions and just start to, I usually give people like steps for how they can, solve something in my lives. But this time I'm not, because there's really nothing to solve, right? What I would recommend though, or what I would be curious about is if you would, actually, I take it back. What I would recommend is that you start to just notice when you're having a negative emotion, how do you start to buffer? Like, what do you do? A lot of people who follow Leah Pinelli coaching are overeaters. And so I know a lot of us just go to food. That was definitely my go-to. But a lot of times, even when you stop going to food, you'll start going to something else because you still don't want to feel the negative emotion. So maybe you'll start binge watching Netflix, or you'll spend all this time scrolling on Facebook, or you will even start maybe binging on healthy foods, right? So I would just love to hear if you've noticed a pattern and what that pattern is. And if you need any help solving for that, you can always set up a free consultation with me or just shoot me a message, and I would love to chat it through with you. All right, guys, I hope you're having a beautiful Thursday. I'm gonna get out and go for a little walk. It is gorgeous here. It's kind of hot, but I'm in a funk, and you guys just helped me get out of it, so I'm gonna go get a little exercise. All right, ciao, ciao for now.